And so we will now complete the workflow that acts on this products list. So we've created this workflow in Visual Studio, and we've wired up some logic for approving or rejecting products based on a maximum price value and the selling price of the products in the list. So we've done that in previous demos. Well, so far we've done that with hard-coded values of maximum selling price. But now we will add a workflow initiation form that will allow the person running the workflow to specify the value once, and then we will use that value as we validate each item in the workflow. So we have added a workflow initiation form, and it was very important to note that what I did, I right-clicked my workflow, workflow 1 in Solution Explorer, as I added my workflow form. So I did not right-click the project and say to add the form there. If we had done that, the form would not be associated with this specific workflow, and this is really where we want to use it. So we've wired that up properly, and make sure you do that when you create your own workflows and workflow forms. We've added a label in the text box of the form, so this is the visual user interface that will be displayed to the user as they start our workflow. Now notice our workflow initiation form has this method called getInitiationData, and this is the way we gather data from the visual user interface, the ASPX page, and return it to our workflow code. So we literally return in this method any values that we want to return to the workflow. Notice the comments say typically as XML, because we may be returning multiple values. In our case, we could just return the value of the text box because we just need a single value. Now, how we access that in the workflow is through the workflow properties object that Visual Studio has wired up for us automatically. So let's go up to our code activity, and in our execute code method, rather than hard coding our max price to $3,000, we will retrieve the value from the initiation form. And as I say, that is passed in through the SP workflow activation properties object. Now it returns to us a string, so we will pass that into a double, and we can then be assured that we have a value that we can use to validate against the prices in the products list. We would of course put error checking and exception handling in should the user type a non-numeric value, but for our purposes that will be fine for now. So now let's redeploy and then go and create a new workflow based on this template. We will call it Dynamic Approve this time, and I can click OK and our workflow will be created and will be made available to us as a site workflow. And we can access that just as before from the Site Actions menu and the Site Workflows section. There it is, there's our new workflow based on our new template. And here's our initiation form. The buttons were, as I say, created by Visual Studio Templates. So let's put a value in of $2,500. Notice our Dynamic Approve now has completed. And when I go to the products list, both of our sports bike products have been rejected because they are both more expensive than the value we entered into the form. So that serves as a very simple initiation form, but I'm sure you can see the power of this as we can build up a UI in a very simple yet powerful ASPX web form and then retrieve the data in our workflow through the workflow properties in the initiation data.